Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. We are incredibly excited to have you today in the show in Create with Franz to learn how to become rich in 2026. And before you go, oh, rich is impossible. I cannot win $1 million or pounds or euros. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about why people would want to have $1 million. Do you think you're going to be better off? And you know why? A lot of people who win $1 million, they struggle. And within a couple of years, they are broke because they don't have a structure. They have no idea what to do with the money. They have a scarcity mindset. But there is a lot more than mindset. There is also a methodology that can help people to go to a financial goal that is real, is a smart goal. And here in 2026, a lot of people will say, well, goals are for other people. I just cannot get out of this cycle. I'm just poor. I'm never going to get better. And we want to see why your higher salary isn't your answer. There is a lot more. And there is something we're going to talk about, which is why you cannot pour a gallon of blessings into a little cup like that, because it's not about your income. It's about what you do with it and the architecture that allows you to make the income stay with you and grow. So because of this, today we have this amazing guest coming from Texas, and his name is Terence Townsend. Hello, Terence.
Hello, hello. How are you doing today?
We are so excited to have you, and we're doing very well because today we're going to really get to the core of a lot of issues. So, why Terence is with us? Because he's going to talk about generational wealth. So, compared to generational wisdom, what is the wealth? What is the wisdom? What's the difference here? Is it enough to have money? What are the strategies you can use to break the cycle of poverty wherever you are? How do you do that? What is a financial clarity? What is a really clear system based on discipline? And we are going to look at our bank accounts through the lens of the kingdom of God. Because whether you want it or not, there is a God there, and He has the desire to bless you and to give you lots of things. But how can He give you more if you can't even manage what you have? He's like, oh
Mm.
my gosh, come on. Like, would you give $1 million to your 14-year-old who has no idea? No, you wouldn't. He has no idea. So you teach him how to manage money. So it's important to see that God will give you the increase. And we are starting this story with a real experience because Terence himself, for a period in 2002, so that's 23 years ago, he was a
Yes.
minister with wife and 4 kids, and he was experienced to be homeless.
Yeah.
And from there, something happened after realizing, well, I can't really be with people giving me money. Something has to change. And he was in the darkest period of his life. And something happened. God spoke to him. And instead of being crushed by this adversity, Terence managed to use that as a catalyst from which he became not longer homeless and poor, but well off, and even coming out with multiple businesses. And now he's serving across 3 continents, as far as I know. So
Hmm.
please welcome Terence. He also wrote a book called Financial Prudence, The Way of the Kingdom. And he will share with you 4 things. One, your struggles have a purpose. So they're not there to crush you, they're to give you an opportunity to grow. Two, how faith coupled with action will give you transformation. Three, that God's plan is bigger than your pain.
Come on.
And therefore, you're not alone. So, I got so much to cover in 35 minutes. So, we start with one question. Tell us a little bit of your life, a little bit what was going on when you were really deep in a problem. What was your mindset there? And then we'll talk about the leaking resources, okay?
Thank you so much, friends. One of the biggest things that ever happened to me as far as my life is concerned was growing up with a mother who taught me to dream. I want to start there. Because it was those little actions. One of the things I grew up in a very poor situation, a single parent. My mom, she did her best, but there were times where we went without water, went without lights, and that type of deal. And so it was a struggle coming up, but she never saw or never allowed me to see my life in such a state to where I couldn't do better. I mean, it would be as even after church on Sundays, what we would do is go and drive in the rich neighborhoods and look at the big houses, and she would say, "Oh, can't you see yourself in there? Wouldn't it be a nice? I wonder what that house has in it." So it was those types of things. She taught me how to dream. So in 2002, I had a great job. I was a high-tech recruiter in Austin, Texas. My wife was a sales manager for a huge hotel chain, and we were doing very well. We had just built a house from the ground up, and what happened was the account that I was on, we lost it, and they laid off all of the recruiters. And at the same time, my wife was 8 months pregnant. And so she couldn't travel back and forth to work. So she had to take off of work. And then I couldn't find another job. And so eventually we lost our first car, we lost our second car, and then we lost the house that we had just built from the ground up. And we were homeless. And by this time, my wife had had our fourth child. So we had four children. And it was extremely tough. But what happened? I don't want people to lose hope because situations come to all of our lives. In fact, the Bible goes as far as to tell us that in this world we shall have tribulation. John 16:33. We're gonna have some troubles, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world, is what Jesus said. And through that time of homelessness, we number one, we didn't have a we there was never a night where our kids didn't have a roof over their head, which was a blessing. Um, but also in the middle of that, God really began to changed my mindset, began to work on me. He gave me ideas for businesses, and I'm like, when you hear and you feel inspired to start something, and you're like, okay, I don't even have the money I need to do what I need to do, but in that moments, if we obey God in those moments, if we obey that leading of the Lord, or at least what we feel inspired to do, the wonderful thing about God is that God is great about working with what we have. When He dealt with Moses, and Moses in the Bible, he gave all kind of excuses why he couldn't do what God was asking him to do. And the Lord said, "What is in your hand?" And God was talking about the rod that he had been, or the staff that he had been guiding sheep around in the desert for all of these years. He was talk he talked told him, "Look at what's in your hand. With this, I'll help you to deliver the people." And God kept knocking out all of his excuses. And the same way, guys, God will knock out our excuses. But it does require us to do one thing, and that's to challenge ourselves, step out on faith, and trust Him. Challenge yourself, step out on faith, trust God against the odds. I want to encourage you to do that. During this time of homelessness, I actually started three businesses. Well, one business and two other entities. One is the first one is called True Praise Productions. And what True Praise Productions was it was a booking agency for Christian artists. We eventually grew that to the largest Christian artist booking agency in the world. We became the premier booking agent for Christian hip hop. Yes, Christian hip hop. And so we helped to get that around the nation, around the world. We're a big part of launching that. We also created a organization called Kingdom Builders Ministry Network, where we mentored and encouraged and inspired pastors around the world. Our fellowship became as large as over 100 pastors throughout Africa and Asia and even the U.S. And so we did that, and then we started another nonprofit ministry called Save Our City Crusades and Conferences. And what that is we actually go to churches, teach them how to rally their community, and impart wisdom on how to win souls to Christ. not just you know, out preaching on the corners. It was is actually programs that we teach them on how to uh, invite the community to be a part of the work of building the community. So it's really important that, you know, folks uh, do what they can as far as connecting with the community, because everything else that we're about to talk about when it comes to making yourself um, into a person who is resilient despite the issues, it all surrounds you making sure that you have a supportive community. We can't achieve anything on our own. None of us are an island. Franz and myself, none of us, you know, we need each other. Even right now, just for this podcast, we need each other to make it happen. And so, and the last thing that happened while we were homeless, we started a radio show. We Lord sent me to the station. I told the guy, "Hey, I want to do a radio show." He said, "Well, how much money you have?" I said, "Dude, I don't have any money." He said, "Okay, well, let's see if you can get us some ads. We'll give you a show. What you want?" I said, "I want 2 hours a night, 5 nights a week." He said, "You got it." He gave us $70,000 worth of radio time for no charge. And so I'm telling you, God, when He has a plan for you, He blows it out the water. So that's a little bit of my story.
Wow, 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 wow. My voice is cracking away here with all the stuff. So you can go from zero to nothing, minus zero, below
That's
zero, and then go very high and then crash back. But God can pick you up, and you need to change your mindset. And the
yeah,
thing is, people think they have a money problem. Like, I'm earning so much, so many dollars per month, and my bills are so much per month, so I cannot make it. And that's the end. Or I have to spend it all because I have a disabled child or somebody with drugs is stealing, and but all these problems, right? So we're always calculating the maths problem. But there is something about the stewardship.
mm,
So you talking about leaking the resources that we've been giving them. Well, how can you tell then if somebody's leaking the resources instead of investing them and using them properly? Because we understand there is no judgment here of being poor, because this can happen to a millionaire. You can become
yes.
poor because of your lifestyle. And in fact, before you even answer this, I want to quote something. I saw a video, I think it was like some, like a BBC or Channel 4 thing in England last week. I'll put links below so you will see what I'm talking about. And there was this, I don't know if it was a hairdresser, and was a single mom and was struggling because taking care of a child, so babysitter was very expensive, and she just couldn't, make enough money to survive. And but she would still do emotional spending. So she would go shopping and buy crazy stuff, and she loved certain wines, and she was always poor and struggling. I'm always gonna be like that. I'm never gonna be out. And then in this TV show, they did a swap. So for a month, she lived in a very big mansion from a rich person, and they lived in her house. They had to pay the bills with like $100 or something, and she had like a lot more money. And you could see the difference. The other girl, though, was a nail technician who had become, she did like special tattoos, something, and laser treatment for people, especially those who had cancer, and they had to do reconstruction and thing. And through big strategizing and a lot of faith and a lot of discipline, she built up from zero to do well over 6 figures a month. What was the difference?
Wow.
One was doing emotional spending. After a month, and there was a lot of change, a mindset change. Like the first day she was in this house, she went off and bought a large television screen because the scarcity mindset. Now I got the money. Why would you buy a huge television? You can't even pay the bills. Why are you
Yeah.
buying that? And so there was the whole mindset she realized over the month, meeting the other girl. Oh, I have to change how I think here to get
Yes.
this money to remain. And in the end, the rich lady was helping the poor lady. She hired her in her studio, mentor her for the whole year, and now she's earning well. She got a house, she got a bank account. She's no longer struggling. She's the same person with the same training, but things change when the mindset changes. So this
Yes.
leaking happens to everyone, and especially when we are poor. So how
Yes.
do you tell, all right, there is a leaking issue and we want to fix that?
Awesome. That's a fantastic question. One of the big things that I believe that many of us don't get, especially when we have a leak in the building, is that the leak has to be fixed. I was a part of a church, and there was a leak. Well, there was a freeze that happened. And when the freeze happened, it froze literally everything. Every pipe, everything was frozen. But when the pipes begin to defrost, there was one pipe that couldn't take the tension. And so the pipe, I mean, and literally, this is the size of the piece of the pipe. It literally burst. So as the church defrosted, the water just flowed through the church and it flooded the entire church. And so we had to get an insurance claim, 200 something thousand dollars just to get the church fixed. It was horrible. But here's where the thing is, the problem is that too many times in our life we get into situations and we get into places where we think all is well, all is well. And then something happens. Then we have uh, an event that goes on that was completely unexpected. Or we just have a situation that rises up and we have to beg, borrow, and almost steal to get it taken care of. The problem is that we didn't realize that there's little spaces in our life that we have allowed leaks to continue and not fix them. And so when we talk about money, we talk about finances. One of the big areas that people miss out on is the not necessarily the focus on what you're bringing in. They focus so much on how they feel. And look, I have to say it like that. People shop and spend according to how they feel. The situation that you just brought up with the lady who said, "Oh, I finally got something. Let me reward myself," because it made her feel good. The thing is that money is a resource that doesn't have any feelings. It does what you tell it to do. When it comes to money, it is great for things. The Bible even says that money answers things. So we know that there's a need for money. There's a place in our life for money. But when we who are the driving engine of our life don't have the focus that we need to have when it comes to utilizing that resource of money, we end up with a flooded house, a house where we are flooded with frustration, flooded with heartbreak, flooded with tension and stress because we just can't do the things that we need to do. And so uh, we have to be a people that understands, number one, that we cannot be emotional when it comes to dealing with money and resources. God provides all of us with resources. In fact, his word goes as far as to say, I will supply all of your need according to my riches and glory, which means that God has a plan for us. And he has not only a plan, but he also has the resources to give to us. And he gives us those resources through opportunities. He gives us those resources through providing us with a job, a place to work. In fact, you need to understand that there are times where you may be frustrated about the provision that God has made for you, but realize that God has given it to you. Again, we can't allow our emotions to dictate the blessing that God has given us and to dictate what we do. Our job is to be good stewards over the things that He places in our hands. There's not a person in this world that doesn't realize that in order for us to be able to do everything that we need to do, we have to take care of this body. We have to exercise. We have to eat right. This body just won't last and do everything it needs to do without us giving it the right nourishment and nurturing. The same thing with money. The same thing when it comes to that area where we find those areas in our life where money is seeping out, where money is leaking in. And again, most of those areas are tied to our habits, our spending, the things that we just take for granted and not realize how important it is for us to make sure that those areas in our life are blocked up, are sealed, are taken care of. Leakage comes through emotional spending. Leakage comes through not paying attention to the things that are around us as far as the opportunities that we can use to invest our money. Leakage come in through us having a bad morale about our situation, about what's going on, not looking ahead, not looking forward to what's tomorrow has to hold, but living in the right now, how I feel, how this makes me feel, what I want to do. And in doing that, and being that type of person, having that type of mindset, you will never get ahead. You will always live check to check, hand to mouth. You will always be at that same place. You have to prepare to win. You have to put systems in place in order for you to win. And in order for you to see the things that you want to see come out of your life, come out of what your hard work. I mean, we every one of us put in some sweat equity. And the thing is that let's make that sweat equity work for us by doing the work, putting systems in place, having a plan for every penny that comes through our hand. Don't allow it just to slip through. Don't allow a mindset that's not prepared and focused on what's coming next. Don't allow your lack of planning to be your plan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's you're talking about this overflowing. We might be even overflowing with money. Maybe we have a bonus, a Christmas bonus, and then we waste it. So we need to build this architecture so we can sustain any money flow.
That's right.
So let's talk about everyday life because my audience wants things that they can do now in today. What does this financial architecture look like in everyday life? It's Monday morning. I just received my I know, $1,000 income or benefit or Social Security, and I have the bills and everything else. And I want to make sure that this month I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to use it properly, wisely, and according to God's plan, or if I'm not a God's person, maybe according to my own financial plan.
Mhm.
What do I have to do practically to change this mindset and make this structure?
Well, number one, you don't start on Monday, you actually start on Sunday. And what you want to do on Sunday, you want to have what I call a a powerhouse meeting, a brain trust. You want to have a war room type of meeting with yourself. You sat down with everything that you have, everything that you know as far as money is concerned. You look at what's coming up this week. This is really kind of the first step because we want to take baby steps in getting to where we want to be. So we want to start looking at the next 7 days. You have money coming in. You know you have your either Social Security check or you have your paycheck or a bonus check. You know you have it coming in, but don't look any further than the next 7 days. Look at all the bills, look at every thing that you have to do. Make sure that you set money up so that you'll have gas money to get back and forth to work. Make sure that you have all, your budget for your meals. Make sure as well that you plan to set aside a little bit of money for savings and a little bit of money for emergencies. And if you want, some people do this, they set aside a little bit of money for that they will invest toward a vacation. But for the next 7 days, that's what you want to do. And it doesn't matter what those amounts are. That's the important part. The numbers don't dictate the outcome. Let me say that again. The numbers don't dictate the outcome. What you do is what dictates the outcome. The money follows your thinking, and that's what we're aimed at changing. We want you to get in the mindset that looking toward the future is where you're going to be moving forward. You're not going to look at right now. You're not going to just jump out and go spend everything, but you're going to come up with a plan. And again, doesn't matter how much money you have. The key is knowing where the money is going, directing it, giving money instructions on what it needs to do. And that comes in with you setting up a plan, setting up a structure, deciding what it is that you want to see come out of your life, what it is that you want to see in the next 7 days. Because that 7 days will get you geared up, will be the warming plate for you to be able to see what you're going to do for the next month and what you're going to do for the next 6 months. You understand what I'm saying? It's those little things that once you get those structures in place, every Sunday, have your war room every Sunday, set it up for the next 7 days, and you'll begin to see the progress toward reaching your goals financially.
Excellent. I think it's a really grounded way of looking at our budget and our final goals. What do I want to achieve in the end of this year? If I want to achieve it, I have to step back and say, well, if I want this by December, what am I doing in June? If I want this by June, what am I doing in January? And sometimes we forget. But I think this leads into my last question, that we can sometimes fall into this retail therapy. Oh, I got $20 extra this month. So I feel like I want to, because I'm a bit depressed today, I'm a bit low, my husband is a bit like that, my wife is a bit like this, my child is not doing at school, what he should be doing. I'm feeling a bit like I need a pickup, which I understand because as a therapist, I see how we need, oh, we deserve this, we deserve that. But there is a point where we need to shift our operation from what we call the worldly system to a higher long-term vision. So I can go to the store and buy an expensive outfit or a gadget or an Apple tablet, and I'm not judging you guys. I have an Apple tablet. I have gadgets. I'm full of gadgets. I love gadgets. But I use them for work. Okay, it's not for the sake of having the best thing. I use them because I need this stuff to do. This costs money, so I buy them. But I wouldn't just go and buy them because it's gonna make me feel good. It's gonna make me feel good for 10 minutes, and then I have a hole in the bank account that I was gonna use with something else. So this emotional spending is so similar to emotional eating,
Mhm.
and to a point, that's why we have drugs and alcohol going so well, because we're
Right, right.
numbing those feelings instead of dealing with those feelings. So, bearing in mind we only have 4 minutes left, how
Okay.
do we shift from this worldly emotional thing to this long term vision? Is it possible?
It is absolutely possible, impossible for anybody. So after you, whenever you take a car to a mechanic, the first thing that you want him to do is to look under the hood and tell you what's going on. After you have done that, that's what you have to do with your life. That's what you have to do with your finances. You have to take a look under the hood, really identify where the problems are, identify those things, and be honest. I can't tell you enough about being honest. Be honest. And go as far as to forgive yourself. Some of us have to do that and understand that, we got ourselves in a fix, but it's okay. Let's forgive ourselves. Let's start now. Let's begin again. God rewards those who are honest and those who can focus on utilizing what He's given you to the fullest extent because He's our partner in this. So, number one, you have to be a person who's able to look beyond the moment, be look beyond how you're feeling, but look beyond the extra cash that you may have sitting in the bank. Doing what my grandmother used to say is burning a hole in your pocket. Let it burn. But you have to look beyond that. So you have to look beyond the moment. You have to understand that tomorrow is the most important day of your life. Say it, think of it like that. Tomorrow is the most important day of your life. So what are you going to do today to prepare for it? See beyond the moment, see beyond your feelings, see beyond what's coming, govern your appetite. You have to put a governor on your appetite. You have to make sure that you're anything that you want, anything that you see, you know that I can't have it right now because I'm aiming for this goal. And then lastly, you have to align today's decision with your tomorrow's purpose. Make sure that all of your decisions today are aligned with what your purposes and your goals are for tomorrow, for next week, for next month, for next year, for 10 years, for your children's college, for buying your home. Your today's goals have to align with your tomorrow's purposes.
Great answer. Thank you. Terence, this has been so useful. Do you have any final tip that can fit in this remaining time that people can put into action today?
Today, the biggest thing that I would encourage you to do is to look at what you have, lay it all out, take a good look at everything, and be honest with yourself, be honest with your spouse, be honest with your children. Hey, let's look at what we have and let's look at where we want to be. Because if you don't have a destination, you'll never start the journey. You have to establish a journey, establish a goal, and again, 3 months, 6 months, 10 years, but establish where you're going. That way you'll know your next step.
Exactly. That's what they said in Alice in Wonderland when she saw, was there like a cat on the road? She said, "Where should I go?" There were all these roads. And the cat goes, "Well, if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter where you're
That's
going to go."
it. Exactly.
So deep, wasn't it? Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being with us. I think this has been an amazing strategy call and wake up call for lots of us because even people who earn quite a lot of money, they can be quite dry every month because they don't know what happens to the money.
Absolutely.
It just evaporates. And maybe that's money that we have, it's well used and everything, but maybe we could do more so that we can help others. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
we also
Absolutely.
are entrusted by Heavenly Father to distribute sometimes, to help people in need, to help maybe our children who want to go to university and they can't pay for it, to help maybe a relative that's not doing well, or to have time to do service because we have enough money. So there are lots of ways of looking what money can
Mm.
do. And it's not just about, oh, I have $1 million, so now I can go to Mars. Okay. How about finding a cure for cancer? That would be useful. I don't need
Right.
to go to Mars. I'm
Exactly.
not making a name by Elon. What are you doing? Help. There are people with terrible diseases. Let's put some money in that. And no judgment. I love Elon Musk, but I just everyone has the ability to choose what to do with this money, whether it's $100 a month or $1,000 a day. We can do miraculous things if we ask God to be involved. If we
That's it.
get the mindset to understand, I'm entrusted with this. That's a lot of responsibility. I
That's
can
it.
change a world, even one person at a time. So, guys, look up Terence Townsend. I'm going to put some links that you can look up and see where his book is. If you are in a bad situation, that's the time to understand why you're there and what you can do to come out. We gave you the big strategies. Now let's go down and do this. And let's build a 2026 that is more fulfilling, less frustrated, and more focused on having a little bit more stability, a little bit more discipline and structure so we can find real peace. And that's a big way of creating the life that we want. And that's the whole purpose of this show. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thank you, Terence, again.
Bless you. Bless you so much. Thank you.
Share this with everyone because we need this year. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.